Welcome to Healing Wisdom, a Thursday morning talk show featuring guests sharing their stories and knowledge. We discuss the healing aspects of the arts, metaphysics, social justice, and adventure through all types of terrain. So join me, Pandora Peoples, here on WOMR 92.1 FM in Provincetown and WFMR 91.3 FM in Orleans. We're streaming worldwide at WOMR.org. My next guest is a Renaissance woman for the modern era. She's a performer, comedian, actress, singer, and author of Confessions of a Pretty Lady, May I Kiss You on the Lips, Miss, and Love, 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 and Love, maybe that's too many loves, the incomparable Miss Sandra Bernhard.
Morning.
Good. We're so excited to have you back in Ptown. Your last show here was fabulous. You most recently were a series regular on FX Television's Pose and also on American Horror Story Apocalypse. You won a Broadcasting Gracie Award for your weekly show Sandyland on Sirius XM Radio Andy, and you'll be performing here in town on Friday, July 28th at Provincetown Town Hall, and folks can get tickets at sandrabernhard.com. So you'll be singing and telling us stories and mesmerizing us once again, yes?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be doing all
Sure.
of that, all that and more. You know, I mean, I love Ptown. Of course, the pandemic, put sort of a stop to a lot of live performing, and now we're just kind of getting back to it. So I'm so thrilled to be coming back up there and staying with some really nice friends and spending a few extra days after my show, which I don't often get to do because usually I just come into Ptown, do my show, and I leave, and it's kind of a bummer because I don't really ever get to soak up the vibe of the place. And so this time it's going to be, first of all, I love Town Hall. To me, Town Hall is like, it's so magical. You can't really describe it to people who have never witnessed it or seen a show there. It just has such a good vibe, and it's just a beautiful, old, fabulous building. And it's intimate and just sort of fabulous all at the same time.
Yeah, it definitely has a vibe. And Ptown has a vibe. And I'm so happy to hear that you'll be enjoying it finally, because it's a lot of beauty to take in. And there's definitely some magic. There's some magic. And I can't wait to see you working your magic here with us. When people think of you, probably a montage is dancing through their heads of all your edgy performances and appearances, like writhing on the floor, singing to Tom Jones in Sandra After Dark, dozens of conversations with Letterman, guest starring in memorable reoccurring parts like on Roseanne, and doing stand-up in a tie or in a tube top. And, I remember talking about sleeping on a mirror, and I just remembered that, and I saw that, and I was like, that's probably something we all need to do to get comfortable with ourselves, is sleeping naked on a mirror.
Somebody just posted that. One of my people who finds all of my old treasures, and he posts for me. It's called Sandra Bernhard Fan. He's a really, really super cute guy from Texas. So sometimes I see something and I go, wait a minute, I don't even remember that bit. And I'm like, that's funny and that's cute. And I was so young and already sort of kind of ahead of the curve and digging into our sort of psyche and, our whole vibe as a country, as a nation, and trying to unearth some of those things that make people comfortable or uncomfortable, and kind of bringing everybody together in a way that only live performance really can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the pandemic was discombobulating, alienating, kind of made people half dead inside, like the exchange of energy and being with people. People being left to their own devices to overthink things is dangerous,
I couldn't agree more. And even for me, I'm a pretty self-realized person, but when you spend that much time just kind of avoiding people, it takes a psychic toll. So the past year and a half, 2 years have been interesting to sort of reemerge, not only as just a human being, but as a performer, has been really a positive experience. And I'm just so glad to be back out in the world and to see people's full faces. I mean, we really, that was, we can't really underestimate the effect that wearing masks and being, distanced from people had on us. So I think it's just it's a really important time to just, jump in and really enjoy being with people and being social.
Yeah, yeah. I think some people forgot how to say hello, like it's kind of
Yeah, well,
weird
I mean,
to have the mask and they're
yeah, just
still.
avoiding each other, and so like that, and then you get into that headspace. So it's really great that we can just like let our guard down again.
Yeah, I was making my eyes really squinty to show people I was smiling. So I had these like permanent lines that were really thick from like way
Uh,
overdoing it. So you
that
live in New York City. It must have changed so considerably, in the last several decades. I mean, the gentrification, things being more commercialized, like the vibe has morphed probably many times, lived many lives. So what is it like when you walk around the streets of New York compared to the way it used to be? Like, how do you vibe with your homeland?
I feel like I think people are kind of more open and more willing to talk and say hi than ever. I mean, in my neighborhood, I'm always walking my dog George, and you get to know people who have dogs, and people always just say hi. And that just the neighborhoods to me have like really opened up and evolved. Yes, things are much nicer in many ways, and they are gentrified, but I think along with that comes a sense of not feeling, frightened or scared of what could happen. Although I don't think things were really ever that bad in New York. I think that was always a big, sort of like hype job on the part of the right. They always like to like gin up, the danger of cities. New York to me is yeah. I mean, every city when you're like riding the subway or you're walking around late at night has its potential dangers, but if you're on your game and you're smart and you have your wits about you, I think you'll be okay. I mean, don't stand on the edge of the track in the subway, on the platform. Move quickly. Don't be on your phone. To me, it's just common sense things, but just in day to day, I think New York is really, it's ever evolving. It's still very creative, and I love living there because I love walking and being on the streets. It's just very inspiring to me.
Wake up, Condoleezza! Wake up, Condoleezza! Honey, when people get together and create beautiful art, it's an inspiration. When Ann Geddes and Celine Dion got together to do a musical photographic tribute to motherhood, it was transcendent. Oh, you all know Ann Geddes' precious little photos of the tiniest babies in fruit and flower and vegetable theme. Little bitty baby in a lettuce leaf, a cabbage cup, a garland of confetti radishes weighing the baby's neck down, straining the baby's neck, pull the baby back, give tiny shiatsu on baby shoulders. Ooh, pressure points, acupuncture. Oh, beautiful French-Canadian songstress Celine Dion in her musical tribute to motherhood, swaddling the tiniest of freshly born babies in a mossy pea pod next to her gorgeous, capricious bosom. Oh, little baby, I have waited so long to sing you this song of Canada and the French Laurentian Mountains of Canada. It's all happening from Vegas, the cradle of Western civilization and everything that represents motherhood. It's all going on at Caesar's Palace with Dragon. She drove all night to get to you.
That was Motherhood off of Everything Bad and Beautiful from Sandra Bernhard. We're speaking with Sandra about her upcoming show in Provincetown at the Town Hall Friday, July 28th. You can get tickets at sandrabernhard.com. I'm Pandora Peoples. You're listening to Healing Wisdom on Outermost Radio WOMR. You're friends with Judy Gold, and she's been on this show. She was also in town recently for the film festival, and she performs at the Post Office Cafe, which is so much fun. And she's recently was playing Chef Rossi, who also has a show here. So you have some like Ptown adjacent roots. Are you and Judy collaborating on something?
We are, and unfortunately, because of the writer's strike and now the actor's strike, it's on hold. And it's a project for the two of us to star in, and actually Wendy McClendon Covey from the Goldbergs and so many other great things that she's done is also involved in producing and will be in it. So now we're just sitting on it. It's really been like we've had to like really just go, okay, this is the way it is right now. And hopefully when we come out the other side of these strikes, of course, writers and actors will be, much more protected and getting the things we need to evolve as artists. But besides that, we'll get back to work and I think that a lot of people will be ready for new projects like Judy and mine that we've been working on for well over a year now. So yeah, we've been having so much fun, and I'm excited to see her and hang out with her in Ptown. And yeah, it's a funny time right now. I mean, it's sort of COVID adjacent, just in the sense of entertainment business being really on hold. So being able to perform live means so much to me because there's a very, very few people who are actors who get to, go on the road and still make a living and still be able to express their artistry. So that's something that means a lot to me. And I'm just happy that I have that in my arsenal.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to also seeing your project with Judy. I think that's going to be amazing. At some point you were into the Kabbalah, but Jewish culture has always been a part of your life raising your daughter, right?
It's been a part of my life since growing up. My grandparents, arrived from Russia and from the shtetl at the turn of the last century. And, they saw so many things evolve and change. And here we are well into the 21st century. And, everything is always kind of on the line. Jews are nomadic people, at their core, but we've settled in certain ways, and hopefully it'll be a hospitable, situation moving forward wherever we are, because, there's always that sense of like, oh, where can we run to next? There's really no place left to run to. I love being Jewish. I love the emotion and just the feeling of connection throughout history. But I wouldn't consider myself, like, obviously I'm not like dogmatic about religion. To me, it's very spiritual. I love it, but I would never impose anything on anybody else.
Well, I love Yiddish music. I mean, I've always really loved the Yiddish music. I grew up in Santa Monica, so everyone was half Jewish. The music, just the melancholy is just so soulful and so moving. I know you said you love the music, the songs, and the repetition. I was thinking, I love repetition too, but I went to this Catholic funeral mass once, and the incense thing got a little OCD, like distractingly so. And there's a real fine line between ritual and compulsion. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Well, that becomes like, the extreme versions of all religion have that, whether it's Catholicism or Judaism or, extreme, whatever the super, religious Baptist. But I mean, that takes over your life in a way that I find stifling. I mean, who wants to be informed day in and day out by, religious dogma? You want to have your expression and freedom and love of nature and fellow human beings without all that in the way, because it becomes very, like you said, it's very dogmatic.
Yeah. You've had all kinds of guests on your podcast, Sandyland, including Susan Sarandon, who really created quite a stir with her décolletage one time at a funeral memorandum. And you suggested people are perhaps uncomfortable with breasts because they didn't get to bond with them. And throughout your stand-up and your one-woman shows and your appearances on Arsenio Hall, it seems like you've really made it a point to bond with your own breasts. And so I was wondering what your thoughts on breasts are and self-love.
Well, I mean, I think everybody should be comfortable with their bodies. And I think that, that's a process, and it ebbs and flows throughout your life. Not everybody was born with perfection, and whatever that perfection is perceived by our culture, So if you do have unique qualities, I think now it's easier to feel comfortable with that because there's so many stripes and variations on what beauty is in a way that, didn't exist 10, 20, 30 years ago. So that's a very positive advance in culture, and I'm excited about that. But for myself, that was a work in progress, and I didn't, I had some role models like Barbara Streisand and, people who were unique, and so it did help, but I had to find it in my own way, and I think that's kind of helped what makes me who I am today.
Yeah, yeah. On another self-love note, after all these years of hearing about Trump and all his crimes, like, how do we stop feeling dirty?
I think we're still in the middle of it, and I'm not sure how it's all going to shake down, but I have faith that the justice system and certainly the more thinking, sentient voters of this country will stay in the right lane and reelect Joe Biden, who I think has done a tremendous job of pulling us back from the edge. And we'll see how it goes. I think, people get very caught up in drama. They like it. They watch reality TV, and he's a reality TV star. So some people just don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to read. They don't want to sort of rifle through what's the truth and what isn't. They'd rather live with, the high drama and the mistruths than to really settle into, figuring out what makes our life work. We have to have infrastructure. We have to have health care. We have to have, Social Security. We have to have safety nets for people in this country. And that takes a working Congress, Senate, and a very, thoughtful leader, which we have in Joe Biden. And I think most people know that. And I think the people that get distracted by the extremes of MAGA, they're just people that are bored and they can't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And like deeply mistrustful. And that's being exploited. I'm
yeah. That's sad. That's just part of our culture, is that paranoia and mistrust. It's an ugly thing to possess. And I hope that we can, slowly move away from that as much as possible.
Lillet. That's like an upscale Manischewitz. Oh, please, I can afford to be casual. I just got back from my honeymoon with my new husband, Ron Perlman. Oh, there's nothing sexier than 10 Hasids aboard the Ultima 3. When we're docked down in St. Bart's, I just roll out of bed on a Saturday morning down to Torah reading. It's a mahaya. Listen, I never miss Shabbat wherever I go in the world. I consult my 1995 Jewish travel guide. Oh, don't worry, nothing's changed. One of my favorite Shabbats ever was down in Key West at a Chabad. They said, stay for lunch. They served cholent and Coors Light. What a busy time this is for me, this time of year. Well, with Pesach and then Lag Bomer and Shavuot coming up next year, I am slammed.
That was Shabbat off Everything Bad and Beautiful, a comedy album from Sandra Bernhard. She's going to be performing Friday, July 28th at the Provincetown Town Hall. You're listening to Healing Wisdom on WOMR. You were recently in the TV series Pose. So I'm wondering, you play a nurse, Nurse Kubrick. Did it infiltrate your dreams during the shooting? Because last night I had these dreams. My home turned into the house of Evangelista. So what was that like?
Well, that's a fun dream. Well, it was amazing, and of course, I kind of stood back in some ways and just watched and took it all in because the trans actors were, they were the core of the show, and it was great to come in and add that extra splash of color an element to it. But I always was very respectful because there's a lot of emotion on the set, obviously, because of the nature of the material and just the whole revisiting that time of the AIDS crisis and and when people, were pushed to the margins. So it was an incredible experience. I love playing that character, and I love MJ Rodriguez. We became very close, and all the ladies were very cool, and it was just a very compelling, interesting experience.
On Waiting to Exhale, you mentioned loving driving the Sunset Boulevard at night when everyone's asleep. Definitely my favorite part. They involve everyone being asleep too. So, what's your favorite thing to do in New York? What's your favorite part about living in New York?
Well, I just think the freedom of being able to walk out your door and really just move at your own speed, to know that no matter what, you can pretty much get from point A to point B under your own traction. And that's an unusual experience in any city, any major city. And you can hop on the subway and be uptown in 15 minutes. You can walk across town and be downtown in 25 minutes just walking. And I just love taking in the different neighborhoods and watching people. I've always been a big people watcher throughout my life since I was a little kid, and so I like that because you feel there's society and life around you, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be actively involved, but you can be a participant along the periphery, and I find that very interesting and very inspiring.
Yeah, very cool. And it sounds very Sun and Gemini, which you have. And you also have Leo rising and Sag. And I don't think you like the word partner, but your longtime sexy girlfriend,
yes,
Sarah Switzer, and the mother of your daughter Cicely. She's a Leo, and your daughter has Sun in Cancer. So I'm just thinking there must have been especially, your daughter's grown now, but must have been a lot of fire in your home. And I just picture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She had to maneuver and navigate through, a lot of, high powered ladies, myself and Sarah, and therefore has become one herself in her own unique way. I mean, she isn't she's not a hard charging person, but she's very, very powerful and very smart and very artistic. So she's finding her way, and she seems to be doing really well. And I'm so proud of her and happy that she's feeling good about herself.
Yeah. As a mom in a fiery home myself with a son with a Sun in Cancer, I feel like I'm sometimes trying to wrangle a river.
That's funny. Yeah, it's true.
Thank you so much, Sandra Bernhard, for being with us. What are elements to your perfect dream project? What are the components?
Well, definitely people that you're feeling at home with, like Judy Gold, because we just are so relaxed with each other, and also good writing, smart writing, and people of course, I would like it to be kind of a more primarily woman-run show from the producers, which Judy and I will be the executive producers, and I would like to get women directors and just have it be a project where everybody is just on it, in it, disciplined, focused, and have it be a lot of fun, but also just unemotional. I don't like situations where people start getting freaked out by things. It's just be professional and work through it. And if there's issues, talk them through and work through them. I don't like a lot of drama when I'm working.
Yeah, and when you said when you're really in it, it makes me think of when you're singing, inhabiting the music, what a difference it makes when you're really riding a wave of breath and you're really just vibing all of the musicians. Do you have any thoughts on that, inhabiting song?
Yeah, well, I think singing is certainly the biggest part is if you have a good voice and the tonality of your voice. But if you're not in it, it's like doing a monologue. If you can't recreate the monologue every time you do it in a new, fresh way, then it becomes stale. And I think it's the same thing with the song. So my kind of qualifications of a good song is, does it tell a story, and does it have like highs and lows? And I think that's, to me, what makes the song so compelling and beautiful. And then the commitment to really making it fresh every time you sing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to get to hear you sing at Provincetown Hall July 28th. And tickets can get their, I mean, people can get their tickets. Tickets can also get tickets, but that's another.
Tickets can also get their people. Tickets can source out their people and go, wait a minute, you look like you need me to go see Sandra Bernhard on July 28th at Town Hall. Here I am. Hand over your credit card and you can have me.
Yes. So your tickets are sourcing their people at sandrabernhard.com. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, honey. I'll see you at the show.
See you at the show. We're going to go out with Beautiful People off Sandra Bernhard's comedy album, I Love Being Me. Don't you?
Are y'all ready? Are you guys ready? Come on, let me hear you. You guys ready? You guys, she really needs no introduction. You all know her. That's why you're here. Please welcome the one, the only, Miss Sandra Bernhard!
It's nice to be tall. I need a little more in my monitors so I can hear myself. It's nice to be tall in San Francisco. I would hate to be small in San Francisco. I hope you're having a ball in San Francisco. Am I missing any other? I like to go to the mall in San Francisco. I thought I'd wear my shawl in San Francisco. Make sure you wear some flowers in your hair in San Francisco. When you're tripping through the Castro, I'll see you there in San Francisco. Hurry, don't scurry, don't worry, sit down, take your time, I don't care. We're all in it together, no matter what the weather tonight. San Francisco, San Francisco. It's a hootenanny. Beautiful people.
You've been listening to Healing Wisdom at Outermost Radio. All of our shows are podcasts at WOMR.org. Also check out healingwisdomradioshow.com and contact me at pandora@WOMR.org.
Yeah. Cool.